Everyone, we're live, people. We are live. It is around 10 a.m. Australia time. Unfortunately, around 1 a.m. UK time. So this is very late for my UK viewers. But we are live. This is our Premier League show this week. We had a lot of stuff going on this week. So unfortunately, we are. This is a very late on week, but it gives us the opportunity to cover a lot of stuff today. Cover today on the show. We're going to recap some of the Champions League action that just happened with the Premier League teams. Obviously, we're going to wrap up the weekend in the Premier League. We are now live, by the way, people, with on Instagram for those watching on our Instagram feed. So much to go on to. A lot of gas coming from the Chelsea community. We will cover that, as well as Man City. Man City's first drop points in forever. All that is coming up right here on the Premier League show. Well, welcome along to the Premier League show. This is being filmed live, people. So if anybody wants to jump on, we are live. Hit me up in the comment section. Again, I offer this now because we're at a very early phase still. Building this community. I am looking for other people's views and people to jump on and get involved in the conversation. You can leave the chat underneath. If you want to come on, you can request me. I can send you a link. Otherwise, leave some information in the comments section below. Well, let's get into it. We might as well start with some of the results here in the Champions League. And let's go with tonight, because I thought tonight was a crazy one. One of these scores we weren't involved in here because it wasn't a Premier League side. Real Madrid lost to Lille, people, today. So that is insane. Obviously, the Champions League can deliver some shockers, you know. But a big shocker came today at Villa Park. Aston Villa beating Bayern Munich 1-0 at Villa Park, and one of the most magical nights in the history of that grand old stadium. Absolutely insane. Welcome along, everybody, in our Instagram and also on our YouTube watching live. Let again, hit the like button, guys, if you're watching. Make sure you're subscribing to Hotsport. Follow us on our Instagram if you haven't already. We have got a lot to cover in just a short period of time. I have some issues that I must get to. I've been experimenting with basically playing some takes I've seen on YouTube and responding to them. So shout out to the Football Terrace. There was some stuff that I saw there, and by the way, Terry does an amazing job on the Football Terrace. So I'm going to credit him on the video that I will show you. Just some of the takes are absolutely mad, especially coming out of the Chelsea community. But let's start right now with the Champions League. Johan Duran, man, a lot of people were mocking the man when he was being linked to many clubs, including Chelsea. And dude, the guy is firing, and he's scoring goals in the most important times, and he's becoming a really good player. Bayern Munich, what are there to say about Bayern Munich tonight? Let me know, everybody have your say. Let me know what you guys all think. Welcome to everybody who has joined in the Instagram. I see Lucas, my maid man Lucas. I see my girlfriend is in the live. I see Mole Man Paints. I see my man Cody. Everyone is in here on the live here today. Yeah, Liverpool as well. Liverpool win 2-0 against Bologna. Man, Mo Salah, that goal he scored, take a bow, man. I love me some Mo Salah. obviously not a Liverpool fan myself, but I'm an appreciator of some of the greatest talents there are. And dude, the guy absolutely lit it up with that goal today. And Liverpool, really good performance. I thought Bologna played really well, and Arne Slot's team just really controlled it. They took their chances when they could. They were clinical. I reckon 10 of the 11 Liverpool players were absolutely superb. The one that I just was not impressed with tonight was Darwin Núñez, besides the goal he scored that was disallowed for offside. But yeah, really good performance in the Champions League. But yeah, Aston Villa, man, that is an incredible result. That was the game that I was watching. I was really curious to see. Villa Park was absolutely magical, and man, I mean, you really can't put this into context. Aston Villa, like, and a big apologies need to come from me from Aston Villa because, remember, I'm trying to remember. Did I put them eighth? Predict them eighth or something in my Premier League predictors? Man, I kept talking about there being a potential drop off for them. I was insanely wrong. Thanks, shout out to my main man Cody. Says love the content, dude. Thank you so much. Cody obviously is one of my coworkers, so shout out to him. Shout out to him. Yeah. So the content, by the way, is about to get real. I'm only star. This is the entree for what I'm going to get to later on when we go back to recap some of the Premier League stuff. In terms of Arsenal, man, Arsenal really sent out a statement yesterday in the Champions League when we beat PSG 2-0. And it wasn't just a 2-0, like it could have been a 3-0, it could have been a 4-0. Arsenal absolutely put this game to bed early. And I was watching a lot of other content creators live streaming along, and a lot of them are like, oh man, this game is over, man. Like, because everyone knows that the best defense in Europe belongs to the red and white of Arsenal. Dude, we had no Ben White. Timber was missing for the second half, although Timber's first half was absolutely insane. But man, PSG, man, this is a semi-finalist from last year. Obviously, they had Kylian Mbappe. They no longer have Kylian Mbappe, but this is one of Europe's giants, and we showed up at home in the Champions League against one of Europe's giants, and we really showed what we were about. Of course, lots of stuff going on in terms of the takes, and the hatred coming towards Arsenal now is absolutely insane. Like people are going to the extent of trying to say that PSG is a very poor side to try to discredit Arsenal. It's some of the weirdest stuff ever, honestly. I remember when Arsenal were bad and people used to clown us all the time, but now that we're doing good, everyone's afraid of our success, and everyone is trying to discredit us all the time with just some of the most insane takes. Man City went to Bratislava, Bratislava in Slovakia. Absolutely destroyed them. Good to see Phil Foden back on the score sheet as well, as an England fan. And we're going to get into a lot of stuff about England players coming on, because we're going to talk about, as you see the title of the show, how good is Cole Palmer. So yeah, that's some of the Champions League stuff wrapped up. We don't want to keep this show going on too long, so that's sort of the Champions League stuff in there. And I think the main highlights of this are to say that Arsenal looking incredible, but do not take away from Aston Villa. Man, they're looking real. I underestimated them. They're kicking butt in the Premier League. They're kicking butt in the Champions League, and I think they go under the radar. And because they're not one of your traditional top 6 teams, maybe by default, a lot of us look at them and then we go, something, they don't fit here. Are they not a part of this party? And you have to say that they are. I mean, we're about to talk about Chelsea in a second. And again, when they do well, they hit the headlines. But Villa's had a better season so far than Chelsea, and Villa people just keep sleeping on them, like including me. And it has to stop. But the thing is that some of us are just trying to get our brain around it. Like there's obviously a favoritism. It's been well embedded into us about the top 6 sides, and when any of those other teams infiltrate that, our brains just start going haywire, or we start belittling it and not taking it seriously because we don't think it's sustainable. But Aston Villa has been for over a year and the start of this season now, sustaining it. And Unai Emery is a very, very good coach. Obviously, he used to coach my club, but I don't think it was necessarily the right fit. Aston Villa has been the right fit, similarly to the way Sevilla was the right fit for him, and the way Villarreal was the right fit for him. But yeah, so we move on past the Champions League stuff. But congratulations go out to Villa more specifically, because the rest of the three biggest clubs in England, they took care of their job against. I mean, and Man City and Liverpool were expected to get the results that they did. Arsenal, a lot of people were thinking that we were going to have it. This was to be our hardest game, although we got Inter coming up. But I thought this was going to be our hardest game in the Champions League, and we won it. And now all of a sudden, PSG are shit. So it's all right. It's all right. All right. Let's get into our main topic of the day, and we're gonna get into cover some of the other Premier League stuff. But man, I didn't get to talk about this enough. I talked about it in a 3-minute wrap up. And before I start trying to fire back at Chelsea fans, they should get excited about Cole Palmer. I am excited about Cole Palmer. I was sitting there. Obviously, it was going on during the Arsenal game, and I was following some of the scores, and I had the goal rush on as well. And I just could not believe every time the update kept coming up about Chelsea's goals. And Cole Palmer was 4 goals in the first half. Obviously, it was nothing in the second. But Cole Palmer's performance against Brighton is something that we've never seen before, and I don't think is a feat that will ever be replicated again. It is such a rare thing to see. And look, I'm excited. Look, I think people need to chill out, though, on all the Cole Palmer hype. I really believe that. I think that you have to let look, it's a balance here, because at the same time, Cole Palmer is awesome. He really is awesome. He's doing some great stuff. Like, he is looking amazing. And look, I have 2 teams in football, one club, Arsenal, and one country, England. And obviously, Cole Palmer, he's not my player at club level, for sure not. He plays for one of my greatest rivals. But at international level, he's my player. British man, and I'm excited to see him. I thought that he made a great impact when he came off the bench every single time for England. Obviously, he scored that goal in the final. He set up the Ollie Watkins goal against the Dutch, which people tend to forget. And yeah, he was really good coming off the bench. I never got why Cole Palmer never was given a start. And at the moment, Cole Palmer's form has, and I don't like to bring up the topic, but it has definitely eclipsed not only many players on the England side, but eclipsed many players in the world. So I think there are ways to phrase this which are fair, and there are ways to phrase this which are absolutely obscene. The way to phrase this that it's obscene is what I'll shout out Terry again. He said it, but I didn't like what he said. And maybe I'm misquoting him. But he was saying that Cole Palmer right now is the best player in the world right now. I know what Terry means, because I know I've watched his content for long enough, and I know he's a very fair and actually one of my favorite football content creators, because his head is very much screwed on, and he very much is always in the moment. But he did say, can you think of one player at the moment that is better than Cole Palmer? Overall, he is not the best player in the world. I just want to say that very much. There is a resume that needs to be built up when it comes to labeling players world class, labeling players in the world's best 11, putting players in the best player in the world conversation. And right now, Cole Palmer has a piece of history that can never be replicated. And I think Chelsea fans will be replaying that game, those highlights, that first half, for many, many, many years. And Cole Palmer had an amazing season last year, and he's having an amazing season now. But the dude is absolutely firing. Like, that is insane. But he's not the best player in the world. For me to be the best player in the world, you have to have been doing it consistently. So you can't just show up in your first real year of being good and all of a sudden jump the queue. There's a queue. There's a queue. There are players with great resumes. There are players who won Champions Leagues. There are players that have won Ballon d'Ors. There are players who've won World Cup, European Championships, Copa Americas. The list goes on and on. To win, you have to win all of the great accolades in world football in order to be Ballon d'Or. Not Ballon d'Or, sorry, the best player in the world, but Ballon d'Or is what that is. But this is what, for me, when I look at my Ballon d'Or, and me and my brother actually were discussing Ballon d'Or the other week, and he asked me who I thought would be the Ballon d'Or, which is a tough conversation this year because I just think that Messi and Ronaldo not playing in the best leagues in the world anymore, that used to be, foregone conclusions. But, for me, I told him, I said, to be Ballon d'Or, you have to be probably contribute to winning the Champions League or making a deep run in the Champions League. You're going to have to be probably winning your domestic league or being the best player in your domestic league, plus doing very well and contributing to winning international tournament for your country. All those things come in. It's at all levels. At the moment, I'm hearing things about Cole Palmer is the best player in the Premier League. And again, this to me is insanity. You know why? Because you're not taking everything into picture. You're throwing out, number one, Erling Haaland is scoring goals at an incredible rate. So one guy scores 4 goals in the first half, and you completely forget about the insane form that Erling Haaland is on. That's to begin with, just on this season, right? So what I think you have to find a balance. You can absolutely praise someone for the performances that they put in a game. You have to appreciate that. But then when you want to then take it to the next level and make a take, I'm just going to turn on that light for a sec. You want to make a take right away. You want to jump to conclusions. And Chelsea fans, the whole week since this game, have been like, oh my God, Cole Palmer is the best. And all this stuff, and trying to cheer up with chest how great the Chelsea team is. And we're going to show you a clip in a second. On the topic. But, man, you just have to say that his performance is incredible, but I'm not saying he's the best player in the world. Kylian Mbappe at the moment is the best player in the world. Kylian Mbappe has won the World Cup at 18 years old. He's been in 2 World Cups. Right? Yeah, he's Kylian Mbappe is the best player in the world. Erling Haaland is up there, but again, we're talking about different things because then you're not even respecting defenders. Like, maybe we can have a different segment later on where we talk about the world's best 11 and who are the best players in the world in totality, there's a great argument to say that Rodri is the best player in the world. And I know what the minute people get injured that they that that they get disqualified because they're not going to play for a while. But Rodri has been a treble winner with City. He's won four Premier League titles in a row. He's a European champion with Spain. He's obviously won the Champions League with City. And he's the most important player on what I believe is the best team in the world in international and club level. So there's a great argument for Rodri in that. His teammate Erling Haaland, the best striker in the world. Erling Haaland's numbers are insane. Then you can throw some of the best defenders in the world. William Saliba can get discussed. Virgil van Dijk can get discussed. Then you have to talk about midfielders, as we just talked about with Rodri. And then you get to your skill players. And at the moment, Cole Palmer's on the best form. But let's not discount Vinny Jr., who has won multiple Champions Leagues. Let's not discount Mbappe, who could win his first Champions League this year. Let's make no mistake about it. And who has won the World Cup. And is a long time of doing it in the biggest games on the biggest stages. And right now, Cole Palmer is exclusively doing it in the Premier League. And he's a great player, and I so want him to be awesome. I want Cole Palmer to be the best player in the world because hopefully he's going to help my Three Lions deliver a World Cup in the USA. I would absolutely love it. But he's not the best player in the world. He's on the best form of any player, maybe. And I don't even know, because I think Haaland, despite not scoring against Newcastle, has had a historical, not just start to this season, start to his Premier League career. He already has over 100 goals in 2 seasons and a bit. So I think the conversation is crazy. And don't even get me started on the comparisons with some of his England colleagues. Like, I don't want to be comparing players right now. Let the Cole Palmer story build. Something I've invested in with my boy Bukayo Saka, and of course he's never had a game like this in his career, but I think Saka is a different style of player, and he's got so many great players on his team who can also score goals and stuff. Right now, Palmer is carrying Chelsea. And that needs to be credited, but the stats get swayed. So it's hard. You feel like you're stuck in the middle here. You either want to come out with your big take, show chest, so you can get a bunch of views, or this is what you believe and stuff like that, or you want to come out and you gotta be fair. But I also don't want to looking like a hater. I just want to keep everyone in reality. I love Cole Palmer. I just want to say something about England players, right? This is my view, and I think those who follow me enough know this is my view when it comes to England players. I don't care about the rivalries. I don't care about comparisons. I love. Shout out to my mate Sam, who's joined the live stream. I love England players, man, and I want them all to be good. Like, I agree. Can we talk about the Saka, Foden, Palmer thing? Like, I want all three of those players to be great. As much as I do not like Man City, how much they're my biggest competitors, biggest rivals. When I saw Phil Foden score for City in the Champions League yesterday, I'm smiling. I want him to be good. It's funny, like Stones scores the equalizer against Arsenal, but I don't have any hate for John Stones. And everybody's singing Johnny Stones' name. Even Bolton fans, like it's trying to some sort of banter to Arsenal. Like, I mean, I don't care, man. I don't take that. Johnny Stones, like, he's an England player. Harry Kane. He used to play for Tottenham. He used to captain Tottenham. And he captained England. And when he put on that Three Lions jersey, I still backed him. I sung his name. Like, my point of view is different. I look back and I look at the big picture. I know that when we hit the summer of the World Cup, that I'm gonna have to sing the name of Cole Palmer, sing the name of Phil Foden, and I have no problem doing it. Okay, they wear a different jersey for a rival club. I don't care, but I don't want to hear the Foden is better than Saka, Foden is better than Palmer, and all this discussion. I do not care about player comparisons. It's so hard. It's so hard to put a finger on it. Like, people want to compare, number 10s, they're all different varieties, even in their own thing, and I think they all should be celebrated in their own way. Celebrated when they do well, critiqued when they don't do well, and of course, creating lists makes for good content, and I will make lists myself. But I just want to say that I'm so excited about his form, but I'm not going to take it to the next level, that I'm going to discredit every other footballer in his position because of an amazing first 4 game. And I'm just going to give you an example here. So Chelsea win 4-2, and that wasn't even the marquee game of the year and of the week, and we'll get into a lot of the other scores from the Premier League. But I want to show this clip, and credit goes out to my Terry and the Football Terrace. But this is a guy named Don who comes on his show all the time, and he said something absolutely insane, and I just kind of want to get into this one as my main fiery take. This is for the show today. So let's hit it, and let's hear from Don, who's a Chelsea fan.
Oh, you're going insane.
Okay. Good. I thought you'd go Cucurella. Right, with Arsenal then. So let's do Arsenal. Let's start with goalkeeper. Goalkeeper's Raya then, yeah? You're going to give Raya because of it.
Bro, listen.
But he doesn't like him. He's short.
On the technicality, because I don't fuck with Raya like that. On the technicality.
Okay.
He doesn't like Raya.
Okay, so Sanchez in goal. Right back, Ben White. Sorry, Ben White or Gusto.
Let me make it easier for you instead of going through the whole team.
Okay.
Right? The only Arsenal players I'm taking to start in my team is Saka, Saliba, and
Gabriel.
Gabriel. But I like the way Cole. I think Saliba and Cole would be the perfect combination, because Cole was ball playing and Saliba's the one that could just sweep up. So I don't really.
You need someone aggressive.
Again, if you're only taking,
I would take them as a parent. I would take them as a parent.
Okay. So if you're only taking 3 Arsenal players to get into your team, you must truly believe you're finishing ahead of them if you have that much of a superior team.
Oh, I told you already, Terry. I said, I think we've got the quality to beat Arsenal. It's about mentality now. We need to get over the line. We struggle to get over the line.
Hang on a minute. But that's when you're picking a team, though. When you're doing a combined 11, you should be factoring in mentality, ability to get over the line, availability. Right? No. Of course you are. You can't pick players. Why would you turn around and say, I don't want Declan Rice, I'm going to take Joe Bloggs instead, but I'm not sure if Joe Bloggs has a mentality to win a league title. You would take the guy that you've got to take the best
the overall package.
The overall package. If you think you've got 7 or 8 players that are better than Arsenal's, you cannot be confident of. You can't not be confident of finishing ahead of them. Doesn't make sense.
No. We're talking about a team right now that's been playing together for 5 years, in comparison to a team that's at the beginning of their little rebuild with Maresca, bro. Right?
Don,
and like I've told you already. I'm not getting carried away until after.
He's not getting carried away, guys. He's just put 8 Chelsea players in the Arsenal team and said he's not getting carried away.
Yeah, but Tom, Arsenal's structure is well oiled. Yeah, it's well oiled. You can't tell me there's not players in my team that can't go into Arsenal.
So you swap the manager. You swap the managers then.
Yes, I
wouldn't swap the managers. No.
Well, because what you're saying is you've got a superior squad and team, but Arteta gets them to play much better.
What I'm saying.
All right, okay. Let's put a pause onto this, because we've gone beyond his main point, his main insanity thing that he pointed out here. And shout out to Terry, who always puts everyone's feet to the fire, and I love it. And his content is always great. You guys all should go and check him out. But Only 3 Arsenal players would make it into Chelsea's 11. Are you insane? Maybe this is his Chelsea bias going up against my Arsenal bias. 3 Chelsea players in 3 Arsenal players in Chelsea's 11? Are you on crack? And he said Saliba, Gabriel, and Saka are the only players he'd take. And then he put it over the top of that. He starts saying, "Oh, well, actually, Colwill and Saliba would be a great partnership." So he's not even really taking Gabriel. He's put Gabriel in there, but he's not taking. He want to see Colwill. Let's break it down. Let's break it down quickly here. Number one, the fact that he had not even mentioned the name David Raya is insane because no goalkeeper on the planet. We're talking about Cole Palmer and the form he's been. So if you want to take it by that metric, the best goalie on the planet right now on form is David Raya. One of the worst goalies. I mean, even literally at the back of this Brighton game where Robert Sanchez was wholly responsible for both goals, where you could argue that the performances of Robert Sanchez are actually tearing Chelsea down. So he'd take Robert Sanchez over Raya. Is that what he's implying? Let's move on to the next positionings. So who would you rather take at the moment? Cucurella or Calafiori? Anybody who's in the chat, anybody who's watching, you could answer that for me. Who are you taking? Cucurella or Calafiori? Or Jurrien Timber? Or because Arsenal's got so much depth. Look, Cucurella played really well for Spain, but in general, in the Premier League for Chelsea, he's pretty damn average at left back. Calafiori, who was a much younger player, is an ascending star. Right now, I'm not. If Arsenal add a Cucurella, I'd see him as like a backup. Maybe we might sell Zinchenko somehow and he fits into our team, but I'm not getting gassed about signing Cucurella. I'm gassed that we signed Calafiori. And last year I was gassed that we signed Jurrien Timber. And both of those players right now are better than Cucurella. So that's another one, right? I think the other, because you know that he already said both Arsenal center backs. That's not even a conversation. And Levi Colwill isn't anywhere near Arsenal's even third choice center back or fourth choice center back. I both. Okay, there's a conversation. Maybe if you could tell me I could switch Colwill with Kivior, I'll have that. Maybe, and again, that's maybe. Honestly, I do not rate Colwill. I never have. Every time I've watched Colwill, and I watch every single game now. I watch Colwill on the reg. Man, he'd be the 5th best center back at Arsenal. Like I put Gabriel, Saliba, White, and Calafiori all are better than Levi Colwill. So I don't even know what that conversation is. Okay, on the right side, who are you taking? Ben White or Reece James is never even fit, right? I'm not. If Arsenal buy Reece James, what's the going to be the narrative from Arsenal fans? Oh man, he's injured. Oh, another ex-Chelsea player. Blah blah blah. Yeah, no. And then you bring in whose name is Gusto. Okay, I think Gusto's good, but I don't put it. But if Gusto comes to Arsenal once again, he's depth. Like Tomiyasu is better than Gusto. Maybe I'm sounding biased there, but definitely not better than Ben White. Ben White has been one of the most consistent, best performing right backs in the Premier League now, almost for over 3 years now. Since Saliba came back from his loan spells and started playing in Arsenal's team, and we had to put Ben White at right back, he has been consistently. He's never put in a bad game. He's been consistently one of the best right backs in the Premier League, week in, week out. He has no flash games, and then all of a sudden you're putting him in some of the the large categories here of some of the best players in the world. No. that's what Chelsea fans do. That's why Gusto has been his name even come up in any of these right back conversations. But so none of the Chelsea players from the back five make it into Arsenal's team. The one player I would say makes it into Arsenal's team right now, and it's based off of the profile in total, I would say would be Moises Caicedo. Obviously, it's a player that Arsenal were linked to prior to him joining Chelsea, and if Arsenal had bagged that and bagged Rice, Arsenal would have been flying. And I would say that I would take Moises Caicedo over Thomas Partey at this point, although some of Thomas Partey's performances of late have been superb. But I'd still say that Caicedo is better because he's a younger version of that. Now, Mikel Merino, we've yet to see what he looks like in an Arsenal shirt. Really, we saw a quick cameo in the Champions League, but yeah, I'd take Caicedo over Merino right now. As well, the age profile, he's also younger, Premier League experience. So yeah, I'll give you Caicedo in Arsenal's team. None of what's his name, Enzo Fernandez, could not even lace the boots of Declan Rice. Both of them £100 million players. Enzo Fernandez has, if you're putting on a scale, his best good performances and bad performances. The bad performances are like here, and the good performances are like here. I could name the Enzo Fernandez good performances in the Premier League since he signed for Chelsea on one hand, let alone. So again, what Dom, whatever, is implying is that he'd take Enzo over Declan Rice. There's another video by the way, he said Caicedo over Declan Rice. That's an interesting argument. I still think I would take Declan Rice overall over Caicedo just because of his leadership ability, the character that he is, the full intangibles IQ, as well as the fact that he's definitely better going forward. He's a full on. I think people just don't appreciate what Declan Rice does for both my club and my country. Declan Rice is an absolute stalwart, and he is always a consistent player. He's never going to give you a terrible game. Even in days when people have thought that he's a terrible game, they're not watching Dec. They're not watching Declan. Declan is never going to lose you a football match. He 1000% is never going to. I've seen Caicedo do it. I've seen him since he put on a Chelsea shirt. I've seen him do it. But that's another story. I have both of them in the combined 11. Right? So right now we've got one, and we've reached the defense and the midfield, right? Then the question is, so if you're looking at Arsenal's team right now, Saka and Odegaard have to make it into Arsenal's team. And I don't want to hear, any Odegaard slander while he's out. Odegaard is bar Kevin De Bruyne, and he's starting to eclipse it because Kevin De Bruyne is not able to remain healthy as long as he is. I think he's a declining player. If you watch him at the Euros, I thought Kevin De Bruyne was very bang average. But again, at Manchester City's team, he's the cog, obviously outside of Rodri as well. But anyway, we're not here talking about De Bruyne right now. We're talking about Chelsea players fitting into Arsenal's 11. So, but Saka and Odegaard have to start. And bar Palmer, I take Saka, Odegaard over all of those players. So like Nkunku, Madueke, who else? Felix, João Pedro. Sorry, what's it? Pedro Neto. Sorry, Sancho. I'd say you take those two over them all the time. Palmer would fit into Arsenal's team, but he would have to play out of position. So obviously Palmer, if Arsenal acquired Cole Palmer today, we would go out of our minds. Either you switch Saka to the left, or put Palmer on the right, or something like that. You have to make him all interchange. But and again as well, I don't think Martinelli's form has been good. Trossard's form has been good in general, but if you're offering me Cole Palmer over either of those two players, I'd absolutely take it. Now, if we're talking about Martinelli as your starting left player, then you actually have an argument for Pedro Neto, because obviously Arsenal fans really wanted Pedro Neto as well. There's arguments for who else is arguments for? There are arguments for maybe João Felix. Arsenal wanted him in the past. Would I take Madueke over Martinelli at this point in time? Probably yes. Would I take Sancho over Martinelli at the time? On form, probably yes. But then as well, you have to put Trossard in there, and I'd take Trossard over many of those guys I just named as well on his form. So, but the real one, there's a bunch of wingers that could fit into Arsenal's team, but you can only pick one. And if I'm picking one, I'm taking Palmer, even though he's a winger or he's an attacking midfielder. I could find a way to put Palmer with Odegaard and Saka, and it would work incredibly well. And Arsenal would be so dynamic and have so many goals galore out of there. Like, obviously, I mean, we even added Raheem Sterling into Arsenal's team. He was at Chelsea, and there's an argument for Raheem Sterling to start on the left, which I'm wanting to see. So that's two. And then up front, the question would be Nicholas Jackson or Kai Havertz, which is a very interesting conversation considering that one was sold in the same summer that the other was bought. But I'm still taking Kai Havertz overall. I do not see it with Nicholas Jackson. I'm taking Kai Havertz overall. He scored more goals. He scores in big games. His play overall, his contribution to defensive parts, doing the dirty work, is all important. And it's not all about attacking. It's also about how the structure works and what your commitment is to defending. And I've seen Cole Palmer put in some commitment to defending for Gareth Southgate in England, so I know he can do it. That's why. So flipping on its head, I don't know what this guy is talking about to end this topic. Only 3 Arsenal players, only 2 Chelsea players fit into Arsenal's 11. Categorically. And anybody comment on me, I feel like I'm talking sense with a brain on. And look, I know I'm an Arsenal fan, but I'm also the host of Hotspot, and I cover all the teams. And my point on this channel is to keep everything fair, to keep everything real, give everyone their flowers when they deserve it. I'm on here congratulating Aston Villa. I talk about Mo Salah and Liverpool and all the other teams, man. I cover every single game, and I'm there as a fan of the sport, as well as just a fan of a particular club. And I always have to keep it real. Look, honestly, I know that it's very easy, especially considering when you're a fan of a team and you only have so much time in your day that you're really almost going to only really watch your team play. And from that point of view, everything can get skewed. And you can watch Cole Palmer, and that's all you're thinking about. And everything goes nuts in your head. But you can't just skip the queue. That's my thing. There are so many players, comes to great players with great achievements who are waiting to be next. Like when Messi and Ronaldo, I believe that, look, Messi's form is still good, even MLS and even on international level. Ronaldo's form is still good in Saudi, but I don't know if they're as great on the international level. But I feel like those players are past it and are no longer relevant because they don't play in Europe's top leagues. Neymar is no longer relevant. He no longer plays in Europe's top league. He's done that for him to himself, honestly. But once those players rode off into the sunset, there are players who have accomplished a lot that just get overlooked because of the position they play, and everyone wants the hot thing, what's in the now. So Cole Palmer could be the most. I reckon next to Haaland are the most in-form attacking players in the world. That's my take. But overall, in totality, CV and everything, Cole Palmer has got so much more to do. And you notice, by the way, that I haven't put Bukayo Saka's name in that conversation because Bukayo also has so much to do. We haven't won a trophy really under Arteta yet. We've been challenging and stuff, and he's been challenging it, coming second at Arsenal, coming second with England. But you notice that I am not bigging him up to that level. I'm keeping it real. He's a player I love, but I'm going to keep it real. I've got to keep my head screwed on and keep everything into context because I have because I have to show respect to the game and to all those who contribute to the game. All right, let's quickly talk about the Premier League, and we'll wrap up. We're at 45 minutes into this live. Make sure you're hitting the like button and subscribing to Hotsport. Liking the video, sending likes on the live stream. Leave your comments in here. We're building a community here. And let's just wrap up some of the Premier League action that we had. Let me see if I can bring this up. We'll just keep it. We'll just keep it with the Premier League logo for now. Look, the weekend started, and I'm just gonna kind of run through because I've done a bunch of shorts. And by the way, speaking on Instagram, we do post-match reaction reels on Instagram and TikTok. You can see the links to those, the handles to those pages down below. But man, I was talking about it all week long. I talked about it in my last Premier League show that I thought you could nail on that Man City were going to drop points against Newcastle. Many people could think it was brave, but for the entirety of that game, even when Man City went ahead, I was like, you know what? I like this. I like the way this game was moving on because a lot of the time, it's when teams take the lead against Man City and you wake up the beast, and then they go on and they pelt you with the sense of urgency. And once the sense of urgency turns on for Man City, there's no turning it off. And they ended up pelting you. I thought Newcastle getting that penalty in the second half when they did allowed them the time to be able to sit back and absorb the Man City attacks. At the same time, I thought that Newcastle were very much deserving of the win if they could have. I think would have been a second penalty later on, but I feel like the refs, I don't know. I don't want to talk about refs for a week. Because I've been doing it. My last two titles of my Premier League shows have been about refs. I actually just want to have one live where I'm talking about the game, the football. So yeah, I just thought they're doing something uncharacteristic throughout the entire week, which was talking about Arsenal, making quotes about Arsenal after the game, even after they had played a Carabao Cup game. The quotes are still about Arsenal. Pep is still exchanging things about being in wars, and it's just very uncharacteristic. Usually City are above it all, like in terms of their culture, their players, the way they behave, the way they're quoted. But they started acting like babies because it didn't happen their way. And then again, now they played a Newcastle team and they didn't get it all their way. And credit to them this time, they didn't start whining like babies. Maybe they learned from it. But I knew that if they kept their eye on the ball, St. James's Park is such a tough place to go. Newcastle will give them a run. And by the way, Alexander Isak didn't even play for Newcastle in this game, and they still got the points against City. And obviously the Rodri injury comes as a factor. They have to adjust to that, and they will. I'm not going to be picking against Man City now. Like, again, I feel like you got to keep your finger on the pulse. Not get too obsessed with one agenda. Just keep your finger on the pulse. You get a feel for what's going on, and pick your spots then. Obviously, Arsenal, they get the win, 4-2 against Leicester. 1 second. Although it was not easy, also up 2-0. Leicester equalized, and then dramatically at the end, Trossard hits the ball into the area, and with all the congestion, and it comes off Ndidi and scores, and then Havertz caps off the win. And obviously, we talked about Cole Palmer. Liverpool looking good against Wolves, a place that they historically don't do well at. They got 2 goals in that late window. Nori does get one, a bit of a fluky goal, bit of the fluky defending from Konate in that scenario, but Liverpool win that. And obviously, Man United embarrassed, pantsed at Old Trafford. And I don't make as much of a big deal out of this game as much as you want to, just because Man United and Tottenham for me are teams that are fighting for the ticket in the Champions League, if that, for United. I think United's problems are way beyond that. And we can talk about Ten Hag and should he get sacked. I think obviously the answer, and I've been on this for months, is yes. Do I want him to get sacked? No, because I'm a fan of the rival clubs. And I'm enjoying Man United's mediocrity at the moment. But I think their problems run a lot even deeper than the manager. I think the expectations need to be reset if they. And it's been a while since they've been good already. I need to realize that they need to be patient. They need to be humble. I'm not trying to be Holland, but you kind of just have to put your finger on the pulse and know where you are as a football club. But in we're now sitting after, by the way, the Bruno Fernandes red card has been rescinded in terms of the punishment. And it's funny, the PJOML finally in meeting to something. And I feel like it was very strategic because I feel like because of all this turmoil going on with Man United at the moment, they kind of slipped this in, and it doesn't really matter in the context because at the moment, Man United are upset with the way the team is playing. They're upset with the manager. They're upset with the structure of the football club overall. But anyway, that has been. We're almost to the hour mark. I have other things that I have to attend to today. But thank you very much for everyone who has joined this live video. If you want to watch this later on delay, make sure you're hitting the like button. Make sure you are subscribing to Hotsport. But thank you very much, everyone. I thought this was a very fun show. In general, I enjoyed. I've been experimenting very much recently with doing some of the showing some of the other content and getting fired up about other people's takes, because a lot of time I'm sitting here watching other people's stuff and I'm like, oh, what am I watching? And I'm like, wait, I have a platform where I can share my opinion. I had a video earlier on about the NFL and the Eagles and some of the takes going on after that. Unfortunately, the sound wasn't working, so that video never saw the light of day. But I finally got that figured out today, and I was excited to share. But again, I'm going to put this later on when I do the information for this video. I'm going to add it in. I'm going to credit the football terrace just so I don't get into any trouble, because obviously everybody should go and subscribe to that. Terry does some amazing work there, and hopefully in the future someday I'd like to collaborate with him at some point. But at the moment, I am just trying to build this platform from where it is. But anyway, enjoy your Thursday. We will have our top 10 list for the NFL coming out. So a very busy day at Hotsport. Anton's picks are going to be coming out for the NFL and then for the Premier League. I'm recapping Anton's picks for the NFL. I should do that with the Premier League. I don't have enough time at this point. But yeah, something I could look into doing. Anyway, everyone, have a good day. Thank you again for viewing the show, and we will see you guys later.